Hello and welcome. It's me, Mars44, and I'm back with another Cardfight Vanguard, Cardfight area, deck profile. Today's deck profile, we have, with the release of BT16 version E, the Brawler that has big knuckles, and he's gonna beat your ass in with him. Brawler, Big Bang Knuckle Buster. So, yeah, with the release of BT16 version E, this card's out, and let me just say, broken. The Brawlers and the new Liberators are insanely strong. I cannot stress that enough. They are very strong, like crazy strong. I mean, yeah, the other decks can beat it, but these decks are so strong that they have trouble, you know. Anyways, but yeah, so. This deck is very big about ending the game early. It's very good at ending the game early on. Takes advantage of your opponent's rear guards and stuff. Normal Norikami stuff. But it's basically a better Vermilion deck. No matter what grade 3 you use, it's a better Vermilion. Legion Vermilion. And it's very big on the Legion skill turns, on the turns you use your Legion skill. Other than that, the rest of the turns is more just, you know, normal attacks, but the Legion skill turns are huge for this deck. Those are the turns that you go off like crazy. And I mean crazy. So yeah, just really strong deck. Retires so many units. It's just nuts. And yeah, let's jump right into the deck profile, shall we? So again, Cardfight, hate the scrolling. Our starter is Brawler fighting Dracokid. So if you don't know what it does, you put him in your soul and you choose your Vanguard, and until the end of the turn it gets auto. You counterblast one during your turn when your opponent's rear guard in the front row is put into the drop zone. If this unit is in Legion, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to one of your opponent's rear guards in the same column as that unit and retire it. So a really strong starter, just kind of that starter you use to pick off some cards. And you can actually use this quite well, like very well. For the Legion card, you have more limited capabilities with, if that makes sense. I mean, well, you know what, let's jump over to the grade 3s and I'll explain it. But yeah, just a very strong starter for this deck to just help that retiring out. And then we have 4 Brawler Big Bang Knuckle Buster. Bust some nuts up here. And his Legion mate is Brawler Big Bang / Buster. And his Legion skill is Counterblast 1, choose one card with Big Bang Knuckle in its card name from your hand and put it in your soul. And if this unit is a Legion, until end of turn, this unit gets power plus 5,000, and when this unit is choosing a unit to attack, you get to attack 4 units. You choose 4 units to attack in one attack. So it's kind of like a Vermilion in a way, except for you get to attack 4 units, and it can be any unit. You don't just attack the front row. If you don't want to attack the Vanguard, you don't have to. You could just attack rear guards, but a lot of the time I use it to pick off a back row, 2 front rows, and the Vanguard. And if they don't have 2 front rows, I'll pick off 2 back rows. And I won't worry about the unit behind the Vanguard most of the time, because actually no, I think I do take that one out. If they don't have a front row, I think it's more situational about what Legion mate, their deck is and stuff, and how much stuff I've knocked out, or else I might take out, or else I might leave the one behind the Vanguard. But anyways, it's also a 13k body. It's also a 13k Vanguard if you have Big Bang Knuckle Dragon in your soul. So a lot of the time you try to soul charge Big Bang Dragon, yeah, sometimes you do have to ride him first, but it's not bad if you ride him first, because there are some combos you can actually pull off with it, which aren't too bad. And you know, when you attack the 2 front rows and the back row and the Vanguard, you get to after it hits, because nobody's gonna guard the rear guards. It's too much. You'll be eaten alive afterwards. And after it hits, the back row that remained that had a front row unit will be destroyed. You'll just counterblast one and destroy it with fighting Dracokid. So you basically attack. It's kind of like you attack 5 units, but you don't really attack 5 units. You use Dracokid for 1, but just really, really, really strong, crazy pressure with that, and that 13k body really helps give it some defensive utility, because this deck has such offense that 13k base is like, yes, it's very nice because you have some nice little bits of defense still. You still have your defensive stuff, which you always need. And then we have 4 Brawler, Big Bang Knuckle Dragon. If you don't know what he does, its Legion mate is Big Bang / Brawler, Big Bang / Dragon. And its Legion skill is Counterblast 2 Brawlers. So special Counterblast, if this unit is in Legion, it gets 5k and it attacks every unit in your opponent's front row until end of turn. And its other skill is Soul Blast 1. When it attacks, you can pay the cost. If you do, gains 3k. So it's basically Vermilion but Legion. It's not as good as Buster, but it can be used in some certain situations that you want to use it. And you know what? If you have to ride it as well, you have to ride it, and you can utilize him just to use fighting Dracokid. Yeah, you don't get to retire 4 cards, you retire 3, but afterwards you could ride Buster and retire another 3. So it's not too bad. He can still be utilized well, but you want to try and ride Buster because you really don't need Dragon unless you're really trying to aim for the cross ride. And again, you just soul charge it with Buster's Legion skill. Although there have been some situations which you don't get to soul charge him if you don't have Dragon in hand, and your opponent doesn't have enough rear guards anymore, and you can't soul charge him. But normally those conditions I've been in, I've been like, okay, well, I'm winning, so I'm not concerned, and I'm gonna win. So yeah, he's just your card for cross ride. Still a strong card, not as strong as Buster, but still a very strong card in general. And yeah, that's basically it. Moving on to grade 2s, we have 4 Brawler, Big Bang / Buster. So if you don't know what he does, when this unit attacks, if you have a Vanguard with Big Bang Knuckle in its card name, this unit gets power plus 2k 2000 until end of the battle. So he can be a 11k beater, which is pretty nice. And also it has this other skill, which I will move on to the other one to explain more about it. When your Vanguard with Big Bang Knuckle in its card name attack hits, this unit gets power plus 3000 until end of the turn. Now explain that a little further into detail right after we look at this other grade 2 Brawler, Big Bang / Dragon. Same skill. When an attack by your Vanguard with Brawler in its card name hits, this unit gets power plus 3000 until end of turn. It just doesn't have the extra 2k. So the Buster versions are just better in general, grade 2 and grade 3. But these versions are so solid as well. And as I said, the Legion turns are insane. The reason being is because all your Vanguard has to do is Legion skill, and when it hits, even if it's a rear guard, these guys power up. So these guys will normally gain 9k if you use Buster, and 6k if you use Dragon. But even 6k is pretty good. I mean, that brings the grade 2 Buster to 17 when it attacks, and that brings this one to 15. And then boosted by 7ks, or maybe 7ks that gain power, make them quite a ridiculous number, 22, 24, and maybe stronger if they're the ones that gain power as well. So these guys are really, really good for the deck. It's kind of why I looked at it and I mean, you probably could play other combinations with Buster because of Dragon being a little bit weaker, but it's still viable and it's still good and it's a cross ride. But these guys really, really shove the reason to do this, to play it this way. Because having multiples of these is pretty good, and you can try to beat them down really, really early with the being able to utilize Slash Buster early on, that 11k really early on, even at grade 2. So yeah, that's pretty good as well. Utilizing it in the rearguard circle, and if your Vanguard hits, you know, maybe you have the other one, what's his name, Slash Dragon, and it hits. Well, you have a booster behind Slash Buster, and he gains 3k because your Vanguard hits. So wait, is that? I don't think it has to be in Legion, does it? Nope. Just has to have Brawler in its card name, so that would bring it up to what? 14, 21. You can have a 21k attack at grade 2. So yeah, it's very, very, very scary, especially if maybe you have 2 columns of them because you're like, I'm going all out. This is fun. But yeah, these 2 cards are just insanely scary for this reason, and they make the Legion skill turns even scarier. It's kind of why I feel like using Dragon's Big Bang Knuckle Dragon's skill is still a viable option, because these guys make it another scary turn. And it's why the option's still very, very good as well. These 2 cards make it very, very scary. And then we have 3 Brawler Skyhowl Dragon. So Counterblast 1, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Brawler in its card name, you may pay the cost, and if you do, you get to retire one of your opponent's front rows. So a little neat trick you could do with him, don't use him on when you have Knuckle Dragon, when you're going to use Knuckle Dragon's skill, Legion skill, but you can use him when you use Big Bang Knuckle Buster, because Knuckle Buster doesn't specify what units you can attack. You can use Skyhowl to retire a front row, then put Fighting Dracokid into Soul, use Buster to attack a front row, the back row of the front row you killed with Skyhowl, and the back row behind your opponent's Vanguard and your opponent's Vanguard, and then use Fighting Dracokid to retire the last rearguard that the front row got destroyed from. And that'll power your units up immensely, on top of the fact you just obliterated your opponent's entire field. How do you feel about that? You can obliterate an entire field with this deck. It is ridiculous. It's so much fun to do, but it is ridiculous. And he's still pretty handy early on too, if you just want to knock out some units early on, late game as well, to clean up any counterblasts. And yeah, he's just a really solid card. Better Berserk Dragon. Better Berserk Dragon, that's what he's called. He's going to be called Brawler Better Berserk Dragon. I'm trolling you. And then moving on, so we have 3 Eradicator Wyvern Guild. No Brawler P-Guards yet, sadly. And then 1 Hardship Brawler, Toshu. Have a Brawler Quintet Wall at least, right? So standard, Perfect Guard lineup. And then we have 4 Second No Brawler, Arc. So what he does is, during your turn, when your opponent's rearguard is placed in the drop zone, if your Vanguard is in Legion... Oh, it says Legioned. Is that a misprint, or is that actually how it's supposed to... Okay. This unit gets power plus 3,000 during the end of the turn. So those scary columns I was talking about, this guy can make those scary columns hit 42 at maximum. Wait, no. If you retire all 5, 3 of them got attacked. 9k, that's 20. He gains 3 for each, so that's 5 times 3 is 15. 35. Yeah, he can come for... Wait, how'd I get 42? I calculated 42 before. I don't know. I don't remember how I calculated 42. Oh wait, I didn't add in his 7k. Yeah, so he can swing for 42 maximum by retiring their whole field in that one turn with the Skyhowl and the Fighting Dracokid with Buster. Like I said, you can make a column of 42, and it's just, this deck is ridiculously scary with powering up on those Legion turns. This deck is very, very good at, you know, just knocking your opponent out really quickly with all this. I mean, you use Buster quite a bit more when you're fighting decks like Granblue Legion and what is it? What's the other one? Go Paladin Legion. But other than those two, you don't use Buster too much because of most of the time your opponent can't get its units back unless it gets some draw triggers and stuff. But you'll probably kill them before that, right? And then we have 3 Brawler Wildclock Dragon, so your 10k beaters. And then 3 Rising Phoenix, Soul Blast 2 to draw. I use this card because it's a 12 crit deck, because it's very... You could try it with the 4 draw 8 crit deck, but, you know, I think this is a much better way, and it works much more effectively because of the fact that the 12 crit just emphasizes finishing your opponent so quickly, especially with all those retirements and stuff. And this card is that other defensive thing that helps you out, you know, get some of your draws that you need, and especially since you might lose a couple cards from you lose a card from soul charging for Buster, or maybe twice. Most of the time it's just once, but once or twice, you know. And also, since Slash Buster swings for 11k, this is perfect behind it because it's 16k, and I think Buster's the only Legion Vanguard that's actually a 13k base. So 13k bases aren't a concern, and you know, 16k, so it hits a sweet spot. It's a nice solid mark, makes your opponent drop 10k, so it's pretty solid. Just helps you get your draws. Yeah. And then on to triggers, we have 4 Brawler Plasmakick Dragon, 4 Brawler of Heavens Yohzen, and 4 Malevolent Djinn. If you're gonna play draw triggers, take out Malevolent Djinn. So yeah, 12 crit. But definitely I tried it both ways, and the 12 crit really helps emphasize the early, killing your opponent so early on, and just using all that retiring pressure with your crits, and you know, you don't get pressured as much as well because of how much you get to retire, and how much you retire. So the 12 crit just works beautifully because of all that. And then 4 Brawler Green Gem Carbuncle. So yeah, 12 crit, 4 heal. So that's about it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Incredibly strong deck. Go ahead and try it out. The deck list will be in the description below as always. Remember to like and comment, and go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. And the links to my Twitter, Skype, and Facebook will all be in the description below. You can go check those out. And I'll see you guys next time.